4 years, my quiet property sat at the end of a narrow access road that connected directly to the county highway. It wasn't flashy, but it was legal, well-maintained, and the only way heavy equipment, emergency vehicles, and delivery trucks could reach my land. The HOA next door hated it. Their board president, everyone called her Karen, claimed my road was an eyesore that lowered property values. She'd already tried sending fake violation notices, complained about my work trucks, and even demanded that I start paying HOA fees despite never being part of their neighborhood. Every time, she lost. Then she decided to take matters into her own hands. One Monday morning, I woke to the sound of dump trucks. By the time I reached the entrance, 3 truckloads of crushed gravel had been dumped directly across my private access road. The pile stretched nearly 50 feet long and stood over 4 feet high. My pickup couldn't get through. Neither could anyone else. Karen stood nearby with her arms crossed and a huge smile on her face. She proudly announced that the HOA was improving the road and that I should be grateful. I calmly asked who authorized the work. She laughed. "We don't need your permission." Several HOA neighbors applauded while recording on their phones, convinced they finally forced me to accept their control. Instead of arguing, I simply made one phone call. Not to the sheriff, not to my lawyer. I called the Department of Transportation, because Karen had made one critical mistake. That road connected directly to a state-regulated highway entrance. Any work affecting visibility, drainage, or access required DOT approval, and she had none. About 90 minutes later, 2 DOT inspectors arrived with marked trucks. Karen confidently walked over before they even stepped out. She started explaining how the HOA had fixed a dangerous road. The inspectors asked one question. "May we see your permit?" Karen froze. "What permit?" The lead inspector slowly looked toward the enormous gravel pile blocking the entrance. Then he quietly replied, "The permit required before altering a highway access point." Silence. They immediately began measuring distances, photographing everything, and checking drainage slopes. Within minutes, their expressions changed. One inspector pointed toward the ditch running beside the road. The dumped gravel had completely blocked the drainage channel. Another inspector noticed loose rock spilling onto the highway shoulder. Passing vehicles were already kicking stones into traffic. Then came the biggest problem: emergency access. The gravel pile completely prevented fire trucks and ambulances from reaching my property. The inspectors stopped writing for a moment and looked directly at Karen. "Who ordered this?" She proudly answered, "The HOA." Wrong answer. The inspectors requested the HOA documents, contractor information, invoices, and board approval. Karen suddenly became nervous. Apparently, the board had voted without consulting any engineers, surveyors, or government agencies. The contractor admitted he simply followed instructions. The DOT wasn't interested in excuses. Before leaving, they placed bright orange warning notices at the site. Karen still insisted they were overreacting. 2 days later, reality arrived. The HOA received multiple violation notices. Unauthorized modification of a regulated access point, blocked emergency access, improper drainage alteration, unsafe material entering a public roadway, failure to obtain required permits. Each carried significant penalties. But that wasn't all. The HOA was ordered to restore the road to its original condition immediately. Not next month. Not eventually. Immediately. The restoration couldn't simply involve moving the gravel aside. Everything had to be professionally removed, inspected, compacted, and certified. The estimated cost exceeded $70,000. HOA members were furious. Most had believed Karen when she said the project would beautify the neighborhood. Instead, they were facing a massive special assessment. At the emergency HOA meeting, homeowners demanded answers. One board member admitted nobody had contacted the DOT. Another admitted no permits had ever been requested. Karen insisted government agencies were simply targeting the HOA unfairly. Nobody believed her anymore. Meanwhile, I quietly reopened my road after licensed contractors completed the required restoration under DOT supervision. The inspectors returned one final time. Everything passed. The access road was officially cleared. A week later, another surprise arrived. The contractor filed paperwork showing Karen personally instructed him where to dump every load. That shifted even more liability onto the HOA leadership. Several homeowners hired independent attorneys. Within months, Karen resigned as HOA president. 2 additional board members stepped down shortly afterward. The HOA's insurance refused to cover much of the damage because the work had been knowingly performed without permits. Homeowners ended up paying thousands each. Ironically, the road Karen tried so hard to control remained exactly where it had always been. Only now, everyone understood something important. Private property doesn't become HOA property simply because someone wants it. And government regulations don't disappear because an HOA votes against them. Sometimes, the biggest obstacle isn't a pile of gravel. It's assuming the rules apply to everyone else. Karen learned that lesson the expensive way. And every time I drive down that access road today, I can't help but smile, knowing the only thing permanently buried there was her authority